Really excited to have you here in this video where I will be able to give you an overview of what Ledgy is doing. In other words, we're actually the leading equity management software here in Europe, are catering to a little bit more than 2,000 companies by now. Ledgy, I will take you through on a very high level. There's a lot to discover actually, but my intention is actually to give you an overview of what Ledgy does and how much it can actually save you both on the time aspect and also money aspect, obviously, and how you can actually also then show transparency to your employees and incentivize them accordingly with the warrant schemes they have set up, and also to the investors act there professionally and always keep them up to date with respect to their current fully diluted stake in the company. Now, the dashboard, obviously, this is really just an overview of what has been going on in the company in terms of, for example, valuation, but also in terms of the cap table and also the incentive plans. But even more importantly is when we talk about equity are the stakeholders. So literally all the people or legal entities, in the case of InVenture as a VC, that own a stake in a company. And this is also essentially where you would, at the very first glance, see what kind of usage they have in the company. That you can also then, in this pivot table logic, you can group by, sort, and filter. You can always see who owns what, and have I shared, for example, KPIs or reports with them. This is essentially kind of your dashboard where you can see what is your engagement with each and every stakeholder. And obviously, this is also where you can then invite these people selectively to give them access on their specific individual stake. We have native integrations with Bamboo, HR with Personio and Workday, and are going to add HiBob as we speak now in this quarter. So very excited about the integrations to come, which is going to really play a critical role in the next 2 quarters, not only on the HR side of things, but also on the accounting side of things, for example, for option expensing. Now, moving over to the ownership side of things, this is essentially all the cap table related transactions that are going to exclude conditional capital, which is obviously everything around incentive plans, including warrant schemes. So I will first start with that. Transactions, that's really going to show you the entire history the company went through. So really, in this case, it's the valuation progression, but of course, you can also look at it by the number of shares circulating in the company and the percentage evolution over time. And obviously, this is all fancy and visually appealing, but then again, it only becomes, I guess, very informative once you scroll down and see chronologically listed all the data that populates the graph above. And you can always scroll down and see, for example, here on the 15th of September 2020, the company went through a Series D round. The post-money valuation was around 660 million. And you will also be able to see here all the transactions that happened on that specific date and see the documents that were attached to this specific transaction, which is actually quite unique and gives you a sense of a single source of truth in that sense. Transaction-wise, on the stock side of things, you have actually no limitations whatsoever. You can keep track of financing rounds, as we saw before, issuances of shares, convertible loans, including all the parameters you would expect, such as maturity dates, a cap, a discount, and obviously the real-time accruing interest. And then some more rather exotic transactions, such as a stock split or a cash-settled payout. Now, moving over to the cap table, this is essentially where you have the control of your cap table and see both currently but also in the past how the cap table has looked like. And then down here have an also customizable share register depending on which jurisdiction you're in. You can customize and add more data here, for example, share numbering, which is important, for example, in Sweden, but also any other data point that you would want to have attached, you can also plug it in right in here. And as you might expect, also looking in the fully diluted cap table. Now, there will be much more to discover also for scenario modeling, where you can model future financing rounds. That's going to actually natively happen on the platform, which is quite unique again. So you don't actually have to do anything in spreadsheets. Everything is happening on the platform. And there are a lot of plausibility clauses, so you can be sure that there's no error in that process. But what I want to talk about more in depth is actually the equity plans. And here's actually where, on a very high level hierarchy, you start off at pools. So you will be able to set up pools or plans, so you can always see how many grants are left in the pool, what is still grantable, what has already been granted, and what is outstanding. Also in terms of vesting. And you can really we expose all data points, so you can really go inside and you can pull up pretty much every data that is related to the pool setup. What is then also happening on the grants, this is kind of one hierarchy lower. This is where you can actually then go ahead and add the grants. So for example, if we choose Elon Musk, we're going to choose the warrant pool from Sweden, you can say, for example, and you can see exactly how much is left. If you add 150 grants, you can indicate when this was actually granted. So let's say we can even do this retroactively on the 15th of April, so pretty much 1 year ago. This was granted to Elon Musk, and you can indicate if there's a strike price, let's say, for example, 10, and also the purchase price, which is fairly common for warrants. And then obviously you can choose what kind of vesting you want, be it very simple, time-based, such as we see here, which is a linear time-based vesting with varying durations, vesting frequencies, and cliffs. But you can also choose much more customized ones or performance-based vesting, as you can see down here. You can also create transaction documents automatically and sign them on the platform to guarantee stickiness and that everything is going without any hassle. Also, end-to-end exercising is possible. So whenever you want to have an exercise event, all employees will be notified so they can actually exercise and request that through the platform, and then you can go ahead and decline or accept that. Now, last thing that I wanted to show you are how employees actually see that. If I move over to the dashboard, this is essentially, if an employee logs in, they would see their portfolio, and on their dashboard, they would see an overview of their vesting. And if they've received multiple ones, they will also see here what is currently outstanding, how many are vested, and down here, for example, the stakes value, which is simply related to the last post-money valuation or latest share price. And they can also see here the incentivizing character of the historical evolution of their value or of their stake in a company. And you can even model employee scenarios, which we have just launched actually 3 weeks ago, which is fairly cool. A lot of companies are doing it already to incentivize the employees even further to make it very tangible and say at Series A, there are 3 different scenarios: optimistic, probable, and pessimistic. Now, I'm aware that it was probably a very short overview, but again, I hope this gave you a little bit of a sneak peek of what Ledgy does, how we help 2,000 plus companies Europe-wide to manage their equity at scale and make sure that they can then again incentivize the employees and act professionally towards investors. I'm very much looking forward to hear from you and wish you a lovely day. Thank you very much.